I would like to ask now Mr. Bob Forsyth, the Director of the European Youth Card Association, to give his input, and I will...
Thank you. I'll stick to my brief. I was asked to speak for 10 minutes, so I'll really try to stick to that. And I'll start with an apology. I'm apologising because I'm a native English speaker with a very strong Scottish accent. So I'll try to speak as clearly as possible, please, and slowly. Please tell me if I'm not being clear. I'm Bob Forsyth, the Director of the European Youth Card Association, and I've been Director there since August this year. So I come late to this debate, this particular debate, and I think I'm alarmed to find how little involvement my agency has had with this debate until now. So I want to change that. So as well as an apology, I want to start by making an offer. We want to be considered as a key partner in this important debate, and clearly there is a rich, complex debate been happening. We want to be part of that. I think that we potentially are a useful tool and a useful partner in this whole debate. So a plea to please, let's work together. Let's find ways to involve the European Youth Card Association. I was asked to give this presentation just a couple of weeks ago, and I was very pleased to be given the opportunity to be here. And I just started to think very broadly about young people and volunteering. So if we can move on. Why do young people volunteer? Well, I can do it myself. We have the technologies. Why do young people volunteer? Young people volunteer because they learn things. It gives them skills, new ideas, qualifications even. We've just heard about that. So young people volunteer for that. Young people volunteer because it's great fun. It gives them new experiences, meet new people. Young people volunteer... it doesn't work. Young people volunteer because they care about things. So they want to make a difference to some of the important issues they care about. They want to respond to some of the disasters that they hear about. And I think the point I'm making is young people volunteer for a whole host of reasons. There's lots of different motivations, and the motivation is often very complex. So when we think about recognition of volunteering, I think we need to think in an equally complex way about how do we recognise what young people do as volunteers. And I make no apologies, I'm focusing on young people as volunteers. We had, in the previous session, part of the discussion said that it's not just about young people. Recognition of volunteering and infrastructure for volunteering needs to think about all age groups, absolutely. I really care about young people volunteering and want to do what I can to promote and develop that. So young people volunteer for all kinds of reasons. That's important to the European Youth Card Association because we're an association with a vision and mission to promote and develop opportunities for young people's mobility and young people's citizenship within Europe. So it seems to me that volunteering is part of our core business. Volunteering is one of the key ways that young people do expand and develop their mobility and citizenship opportunities. So just to tell you something about the European Youth Card Association. Essentially, we're an association of organisations. There's 40 organisations in 38 countries across Europe. Each of these organisations produces, distributes, manages a youth card. It's often a piece of plastic. More and more often, it's not even a piece of plastic. It's something that's embedded in young people's mobile phones. But essentially, it's a tool. It should be a tool that gives young people some economic benefits. But more than that, it should be a tool that helps young people connect to opportunities for them expressing their citizenship, a tool that helps them become more mobile. And we're part of the technical working group on Youth on the Move, for example, with the European Commission. It can become a very effective tool that helps young people really be mobile, have their qualifications in their hand, have their passport to create their own mobility in their hand. So we have 40 organisations in 38 countries who are producing and distributing this card in very different ways. The card is available for young people under 30, and right now there are more than 4 million cardholders across our 40 organisations, and that's increasing. That's increasing all the time. We've just taken on a new member in Sweden who are planning to have an additional 500,000 cardholders over the next 12 months. We have a system, a database full of discounts and benefits, and right now there are 80,000 discounts and benefits on that database. We talked this morning in the previous session about the gap. There's often a gap between these wonderful pieces of policy making and debate and what happens at a grassroots level. And often there is some distance between those two. And I think part of the discussion was, then we're all responsible for bridging that gap. We're all responsible for helping to translate some of these policy ideas to the grassroots, if you like. I think we are a vehicle for connecting to the grassroots. We connect to 40 organisations across Europe who in turn connect to 4 million and rising, 4 million young people. So I think we're a tool for helping to disseminate information about volunteering and what it means and why it should be recognised and how it could be recognised. European Youth Card Association has been around for a long time. It's been around for 20-something years. But in the past 4 or 5 months, it has a new director and a new board and a new president. And we are really trying to make a big difference to how the association works, to the impact the association has. So we're seeking to expand our coverage. We're seeking to improve the quality of the offers that are made through each of our organisations, and really seeking to increase the impact and, I think, equally importantly, to understand the impact. How do people use these tools? How do young people access these tools and use these tools to make a difference to themselves, to make a difference to their communities, to make a difference to their societies and to Europe? Sorry, thank you. European Youth Card Association's involvement on a European level. We have a partial agreement on youth mobility through the Youth Card as part of the Council of Europe. We are connected to the European Commission. We receive a small core grant from the European Commission. And as I said earlier, we are part of a technical working group to develop Youth on the Move. We've just heard from Karen that Youth on the Move is one of the flagship initiatives for the Commission. So we're helping to really shape that, make sure that it is connected to the grassroots, make sure that it is going to be something that's meaningful to young people. And we cooperate with other key youth networks like Eurodesk and EYCA. EYCA supports and promotes volunteering in lots of ways. We provide information. Our member organisations use 50 websites. We have 600,000 unique visitors per month. We have 100,000 fans on Facebook. That's all the numbers. But essentially, we're a tool to get information directly to young people. We are a tool for recognising volunteering. We have a couple of specific initiatives through the European Voluntary Service and an initiative in partnership with the Alliance of European Voluntary Service Organisations. And we seek to lead by example. Many of our member organisations are already engaged in deploying volunteers, managing volunteers, supporting volunteers, and recognising volunteers' contributions. They do that within their own organisations. They do that by promoting volunteering opportunities within their own localities. They do that by participating in the European Voluntary Service. Just some quick examples. Just 4. I could have given you examples from almost all of our 40 members. Just 4 snapshots. CJP in Belgium. They currently have 200 young volunteers working as cultural journalists and publishing information online for young people. Alliansi in Finland is the National Youth Institute for Finland. They have a programme of consistently having 20 young volunteers. 1 minute, please.
Do you want me to read loud?
Yes. They send 200 volunteers through European Voluntary Service. They host 50 volunteers. Young Scot have a Hot 500 where they have 500 young people volunteering to inform them, to give them constant information, feedback, to consult with other young people on health initiatives and health services. We are actively involved in the European Voluntary Service, and we distribute a personalised European youth card to 6,000 volunteers each year as part of the European Voluntary Service. And we have a partnership with the Alliance of European Voluntary Service Organisations. One of the key things for me, I've come into the organisation only recently. One of the key things that I want to understand is, so what? What impact does this have? And I think we need to work together with our partners to really understand the impact of initiatives like this, where we have the tools, we have the initiative, but we really don't understand the difference it makes to young people, to the communities they work in, to the organisations that host them or send them. And that's really all I'll say, but I think recognition of volunteering is hugely important. We need to think carefully to make the recognition recognise the complexity of volunteering. We need to have good knowledge and intelligence to inform how we recognise volunteering. Our responsibility is to create, present, manage tools for recognising volunteering and to share knowledge through the organisations that we work with, which in turn are the organisations that help us engage with the grassroots. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bob, for this insight. I think many elements we can carry on then to the discussion later.